With the rising population in the country, demand for food has risen exponentially, putting pressure on the government and Kenyan farmers to up the ante. But this is becoming a tall order as farmers resort to using their traditional farming methods production. And experts say time has come for farmers to embrace new technologies and mechanize their farms. Philip Keitani tells us more on this week's edition of The Next Frontier.
Kenya's population has more than doubled over the last 25 years to about 40 million people, and this is set to continue, with the population expected to grow by 3,000 people every day over the next 40 years and will reach about 85 million people by 2050. Ironically, while the population has been growing exponentially, farmers and indeed the country has failed to reap these benefits owing to the use of outdated farming practices.
To have a food secure world means you need to have a food secure Africa, because close to 80% of the food insecure folks are still on our continent.
While the sector remains the biggest contributor to the GDP, employing 70% of the country's workforce, Kenya's agricultural practices have remained rooted in the past, based on operations that depends on the hoe and other hand tools. These practices yield so little and leave the sector vulnerable to vagaries of changing weather patterns.
First, I think people need to, we need to stop subdividing our lands. Our first problem, we are subdividing land so much between brother and brother. There's a lot of edges that we have put around that is really reducing our abilities to mechanize our farms.
But with the demand for food expected to continue rising for the foreseeable future, experts say farmers need to start embracing new technological ways of farming to boost overall food production in Kenya.
You cannot expect to feed 2 billion people with hoes and cutlasses.
According to Chris Abir, mechanization will allow farmers to intensify production, which will improve their quality of life, as well as contribute to national and local prosperity.
People can build a house in the most rich part of the land and then they live there infertile. So those are factors you have to listen to.
An obvious result in mechanization is an increase in farm work productivity and farm production capacity, owing to less wastage of resources.
We need to go through an education system so that you can be able to select your equipment that suits your situation.
However, experts say progress in the area should include energy efficient innovations and supported by better training of farmers and repair services.
Doesn't matter whether your piece of land is big or small, there is an implement for everyone.
It is only through appropriate mechanization that local farmers can be able to feed not only themselves, but also the country's ballooning rural and urban population. Productivity will have to increase dramatically if Kenyan farmers are to be able to feed their families and spare some of their production for the market.
As small-scale farmers in the country continue to take their sweet time to mechanize their farms, large-scale farmers like these ones are taking full advantage of such equipment to improve efficiency and productivity in their farms. Philip, for The Next Frontier.